Ladies and gentlemen, the Athletics Director, University of Tennessee, Mr. Doug Dickey.
Good evening and welcome to all of you, honorees and guests, for this gala event of the 100 Years of Volunteers. We appreciate your taking the time and effort to be here, and I hope it's a gala event for you this evening. I'd like to recognize several people before we go on with the program. First, I think you should join in a round of applause for the Assistant Athletic Director for Marketing, the University of Tennessee Athletic Department, who has put together a wonderful gala event this evening. He has guided a truck around the state of Tennessee with a Hall of Fame in it. We've had 100 years tapes, the all-time team selection. Mr. Tim Burnell, Assistant Athletic Director for Marketing, University of Tennessee. Secondly, I'd like to especially recognize someone who's been very important here over the years and someone who's special to me. Came to the University of Tennessee in 1935, started coaching here in 1939, coached at the United States Military Academy, coached at Georgia Tech, coached at Baylor University, coached at the University of Florida. In 1963, he became the athletic director at the University of Tennessee and served in that position for 22 years. Neyland Stadium, that we all enjoy, is much of his work. This particular arena that we enjoy this evening, Bob Woodruff was part of putting this together. A man who I think has had more to do with the all sports programs of the Southeastern Conference than anybody in the history of that conference. The athletic director here for 22 years, Bob Woodruff, and his wife, Trudy. Third, I'd like to pay special recognition to the lady who put up with the nervousness of a young head coach who sweated out her son being the quarterback and who has listened to every problem imaginable by the athletic director, my wife, Joanne. There are some special anniversaries and birthdays that come along in our lifetimes. I know you can all remember when you got the car keys at 16. Some of you have had a 25th wedding anniversary. They say that's not an anniversary anymore, it's a miracle. Some of you have had 50th anniversaries maybe in here. Tonight, we're privileged to have a 100th anniversary of something that I think causes us to reflect on our past. And we should feel good and have great pride in our accomplishments. Over 100 years of volunteer football, there have been 13 SEC or Southern Intercollegiate Championships. We've had 2 national champions, 1938 and 1951. We've had 7 academic All-Americans, 70 academic All-SEC players, 27 in the last 4 years, 65 All-Americans, 1 Outland Trophy winner, 30 bowl teams, which is 4th in the nation. We're 10th in the number of victories nationally. We're 10th in all-time won-loss record. 13 players and 1 coach in the National Football Hall of Fame. And better yet, we've had a United States Senator and a candidate for Vice President. We've had mayors of cities. We've had bank presidents. We've had attorneys, doctors, hundreds of coaches, teachers and principals, business leaders, college presidents, Rhodes Scholar, state legislators, Board of Trustee members, athletic conference commissioners, ministers and missionaries, Boy Scout officials, and even the solo pilot for the Blue Angels, plus thousands of good, solid citizens who have taken the spirit of volunteer football into their lives. A truly proud tradition. that needs our everyday care to sustain it. Care for coaches and players so they have a chance to succeed at championship levels. Standards need to be set that demand the best level of performance both on the field and off, and a sense of purpose by all involved at UT that this is good for all of those who have chosen to participate. So I hope tonight, as we go forward in this program, that you'll have a good time, that it'll be one of those evenings of reminiscing and of celebrating. And so here to be your master of ceremonies is the voice of the Vols for the last 23 years, the outstanding sportscaster in intercollegiate athletics, Mr. John Ward.
Thank you very much. Tonight in sight, in sound, and in person, we will have what in effect is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to relive Tennessee football. Many of the players, the coaches, are here, either in person or on the screen. Most of all, the people who really are Tennessee football are here with us, the fans, from all parts of the country, from all walks of life. So let's enjoy this night. And to begin with, let's don't think of this as a long program. Let's think of it as a complete program. We hope that when the evening is over, the sights, the sounds, the people will make this evening for all of you a night to remember. 100 years of volunteers. 6 weeks ago, the university announced the all-time Tennessee team for those first 50 years. Here's the Vol Radio Network's Mike Keith.
On the Tennessee all-time team from 1891 through 1940, you'll find some familiar names and some that are less familiar. One thing is for certain, all selected had very different talents that helped Tennessee rise into the upper echelon of the college football world. The squad's first entry was a guard who starred from 1906 through 1909. His name, Nathan Dougherty. He's the man who hired Robert Nealon to coach the Vols in 1926. Two players come out of the World War I era. In Graham Val and kicker Buck Hatcher both played on the 1915 and 16 squads, only to depart for military service and then to return and play in the 20s. Two of the original Flamin' sophomores from 1928 made the list. Bobby Dodd, a multi-sport standout from Kingsport, who later gained fame as Georgia Tech's coach, and Tennessee's first All-American, Gene McEver, who was UT's original breakaway back.
I don't think McEver himself knew how he ran, except that he got there. Well, I tell you how tough he was. I never saw him hit when he didn't come up smiling. And as he lay there on the ground, whether it's in the mud on an ordinary field, he had that grin on his face. Nobody, to my recollection, ever knocked it off. He was a tough guy. Nealon told me more than once that McEver was the best football player he ever had.
Herman Hickman is another line entry. The 225-pound Hickman was considered mammoth while starring from 1929 through 31. Tennessee's next great back following McEver was Beatty Feathers, and he joins his former high school teammate on the all-time team. Playing from 1931 through 33, Feathers may have been a better overall athlete than McEver. Joining Val as the team's other end is Bowden Wyatt. The handsome Wyatt played from 1936 through 38 and would later win 49 games while coaching the Vols from the mid-50s to early 60s. One of Wyatt's top assistants was also one of his teammates. Tailback George Caffago may be better remembered as UT's kicking coach, but he rates as one of the best backs from this era. Caffago and Wyatt were daddies to several of the great players who starred from 1938 through 40. Abe Shires and Ed Malinsky both anchored the line, along with guard Bob Suffridge, who is still considered as one of the greatest defensive linemen in Vol history. The final member of the squad is wingback Bob Fox, an athlete considered a measuring stick for all-around performers in the Neyland era.
There you have the Tennessee all-time team for the first 50 years. Two members of that great era of Tennessee football are here with us. The tailback, a member of the National Football College Hall of Fame, and longtime coach at the University of Tennessee, George Capigo.
Thank you very much. It is an honor and a great deal of pleasure for me to receive this award. The only bad thing about it, that all the other people that helped me get this award is not here to help me celebrate with it. I was hoping and could wish, if I had a wish I could wish, and it would come true, that all the former players that are passed on could be here for this one moment. Thank you very much.
George Capigo, the second member of the 1891 to 1940 all-time team with us tonight, tackle Abe Shires. You know, every game of football is played twice. First on the field, then again and again and again in our memory. All of you have your personal memories. That's why you're here tonight. And that's why we have asked 4 very special volunteers to share their personal memories with us in what we call Volunteer Reflections. And with our first volunteer reflection, Abe Shires.
Well, thank you a lot, sir. I'm sure glad to be here. For a lot of people that was on this team are not able to make it like George and I. But we feel quite honored, and it's a real pleasure to get here and say we're part of the University of Tennessee 100-year celebration. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The volunteers of 1940. Well, it's impossible to mention every person who's played a part in the sights and sounds of 100 years of volunteers, but there are some special people we want to acknowledge. And as I always say, and this time let's try to live up to it, we ask that they remain standing so that you can see them both in person and on the screen with our cameras. And then after all have been introduced, all of us will give them a standing ovation. 3 former Vol players are now members of the University of Tennessee Board of Trustees. From 1952, Jim Haslam and his wife Natalie. From 1957, Bill Johnson and his wife Rena. Let's have the lights. From 1960, Don Leake and his wife Vandy. And ladies and gentlemen, if there is a single personality who all of us know, who identifies Neyland Stadium and has for many, many years, it's our next guest, the one and only hot dog man, Arnold Zandy. Now, for all of them, let's have a standing ovation, everybody. Thank you very much. Now that all the men have their shorts straight, we can enjoy this evening in relative comfort. Okay, now here we are. The time has come to announce the team the fans selected, the all-time Big Orange team for the second 50 years. Now this period, of course, spans 2 basic offensive systems, the single wing, the T formation, and its variations. So single wing positions have been merged into those that are more commonly used today and are so identified. No member of the 1990 volunteer team was eligible in the voting. We start with the offensive guards. The nominees are John Bruin, 1987, Bill Emmendorfer, 1972, Harry Galbraith, 1987. Bill Johnson, 1957. Chip Kell, 1970. Mickey Marvin, 1976. Bill Mayo, 1984. John Michaels, 1952. Charles Rosenfelder, 1968. Eric Still, 1989. And the winners are Harry Galbraith and Eric Still. Eric Still was an academic All-American. Here's why. And also, of course, a great football player, here in action against Washington State, wearing number 79.
This is truly an honor to be here and accept this award, and I just feel so grateful to be a part of this family here at the University of Tennessee the last 100 years, and I want to thank everybody that I've been associated with, the coaches, the players, and it's been a real thrill to be a part of this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you. For you watching, Harry Galbraith wears number 76. This is the 87 game. There you see him. Number 76, Galbraith. Opening the hole. That's against Mississippi State. And here again in the 1987 Auburn game.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank God for giving me the ability to earn a scholarship to the University of Tennessee and become a member of His prestigious award. I'd like to thank my family, my friends, and the fans at the University of Tennessee for all the support throughout the years. I'd like to thank the coaches and the academic counselors who helped make it possible for me to graduate and make it here and make my stay at the University of Tennessee enjoyable. I'd like to wish the University of Tennessee continued success throughout the rest of the season. And I'm sorry that I couldn't be here to receive this award because we have a game this weekend against the Phoenix Cardinals at Joe Robbie Stadium here in Miami. Like I said, I'd like to thank everybody once again and keep up a good job, volunteers.
Now the defensive ends. Defensive ends. The nominees: Doug Atkins, 1952. Mike Kofer, 1982. Al Husk, 1942. Carl Johnson, 1972. Dale Jones, 1986. Mike LaSorsa, 1960. Ron McCartney, 1975. Roger Rotroff, 1953. Bud Sherrod, 1950. And the winners are Dale Jones and Doug Atkins. Doug Atkins. This way, Doug. And is Dale Jones. I didn't know. Here's Dale Jones right here as well, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't think he was going to be here. There you see Dale Jones wearing number 54 in the 86 Sugar Bowl game. And in 1985, Alabama. Yes! Dale Jones with that interception as Tennessee won 16-14. Doug Atkins wearing number 91 in action against Kentucky, right there. This is in 1950, and then in 1949, Doug Atkins in action against Vanderbilt. Doug Atkins. They both could play both ways. Now, ladies and gentlemen, an assistant coach at the University of Florida, but with us tonight, Dale Jones.
I
say this is the greatest honor of my life. For me, I don't know if I was one of the best that ever played the game, but one thing about it, I love this university, and just that's me. I love this university, but I'm a great volunteer, and I hope everybody that plays the game at Tennessee plays it with their heart, because I think that's the most important thing. I'd like to thank the coaches that coached me, Coach Majors. When I first started here, I was a little skinny runt, wanted to play ball, and there's nobody that drove me harder than Coach Majors, and he made me what I was. And I appreciate him for his discipline, and I appreciate everybody at the university that's associated with the university, and I'd like to say that I know everyone's here because they love the university, and I love it more than anybody can imagine. And God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. Dale Jones, now a member of both the National College and the National Football Hall of Fame from Humboldt, Doug Atkins.
To me, this is a great honor, and I appreciate it very much. I've played football at one high school, college, and pro for 25 years, and I've always been asked what was my greatest thrill. Of course, I played on championships at college level, championships on the high school level, championships on the pro level. But I think what's happening here tonight probably tells the story. I believe the most important thing about the whole football is the people you associate with over the years. There are a lot of players here tonight I played with, and some played before I did and some after. So I would say that the biggest thrill in football is the people you meet, and you're able to come back and discuss things and tell stories, and each year they get bigger and bigger and better. I appreciate all the fans and everybody who participated in this and everyone who sponsored it, and I thank you very much.
Two great ones, among many, many great ones. The period of the 1950s was truly a great one in Big Orange history. During this period, of course, Tennessee won the National Football Championship. The All-America tailback on that 1951 team, himself a member of the National College Football Hall of Fame, is with us now for his volunteer reflection. Ladies and gentlemen, Hank Lauricella. Before you start, Hank, a reflection on Lauricella in action, wearing number 27 with the football, this in 1950 at Kentucky. And in 1951, Lauricella against Mississippi State. One of the all-time greats, Hank Lauricella.
Thank you so much, John. I'm truly privileged to be able to represent and reflect on behalf of a very viable part of the first 100 years of Tennessee football. As we close this gridiron centennial here at UT, it is very appropriate and fitting that the university, the athletic department, and UT fans pause to remember and honor all of those that participated in the past and recognize a few that may have left some special memories. But we can't dwell on just a few. We must remember all that participated and contributed to the great Tennessee football legacy that we pass on to the second century of Big Orange players. The family of Tennessee football players have come from far and near, stretching from the Canadian border to the Gulf of Mexico and from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. All of those players have contributed in some way. Many have remained in the state and many have gone on to other parts of the country and the world. With the passing of time, we have seen Vol football influence spread all over the nation. But no matter what the distance may be that separates us, we have a common rallying point. The University of Tennessee campus, Shields-Watkins Field, and Neyland Stadium. I hope I speak for myself and my teammates when I say that we are happy that we were able to share and to experience a snapshot of time in the 100 years and to have played a small part of what we celebrate tonight. What a rich and proud experience we all had in wearing the orange. Many from the era I represent and many from the great teams of 1950 and 51 are with us tonight. We all join in saying, thanks to the University of Tennessee for affording us an opportunity in education, fellowship, and lasting memories. But most importantly, it made us poised and prepared for the challenge of life. All of this tradition and history could not have reached such a level without effective leadership and direction. I know there were many individuals who had a pronounced effect on the Tennessee success, but I would cast my vote for the one person that was the magnet that pulled it all together. He played the lead role in the early and middle part of this 100 years, and I'm sure still remembered as the person that started the great tradition that we are now enjoying. I'm speaking, of course, about the late and great General Robert R. Neyland. Those of us that were fortunate enough to play for him learned not only football, but we learned the basics of life: discipline, teamwork, loyalty, hard work, and respect. Coach Neyland shared a brilliant career between the military, his basic profession, and football, the game he loved so much. He was recognized by his coaching peers as the premier coach, and by his players as a builder of men. I never met a person in my life who commanded and received as much respect as the late General Neyland. While we all recognize his football genius, I also want to point out his real ability to know and understand his players and how he motivated them. So let me share with you a team experience that happened before and during the Cotton Bowl game of January the 1st, 1951, when we played a great University of Texas team. As we were preparing to take the field before the game, the Texas band passed by and they were playing "The Eyes of Texas Are Upon You." The general, when the noise quieted down a little, the general said, "That's fine, but when this game's over, they'll be playing the Tennessee Waltz." And further, right before we took the field, the general, trying to prepare us for the game, was advising us. He said, "Men, you're going to be playing a much stronger team, bigger team than you are. And don't be surprised if you come in at halftime and you're going to be trailing. That's all right." He said, "But we are better trained and we are better conditioned and we're going to win this football game." Sure enough, we played the first half, came in at halftime, we were trailing 14-7. As we went back on the field and we started in the second half, at the end of the third quarter, still 14-7. But as the general had predicted, our conditioning moved on. In the early part of the fourth quarter, we scored to make the score 14-13. However, unfortunately, Pat Showers, who I know is with us tonight, and Pat, forgive me as I tell this story. Pat had kicked, I think, 36 extra points and had not missed an extra point all year long. Pat missed the extra point, and we were trailing 14-13. Pat came off the field extremely dejected, passed the general, and the general said, "Son, we didn't come here to tie this damn ball game anyhow." And we went on right before the game was over, in the last 3 or 4 minutes, scored another touchdown. Dr. Andy Kozar, who was here at the university, scored the winning touchdown. We went on to win 20-14. It was a great experience. Truly a wonder and a delight to be here and to have been a part of this brief experience. And I just wanted to say to all of my teammates who are out there, most particularly, thank you for what a wonderful time we all had. Thank you very much, John.
Hank Larsella. Now it's time to announce the winners in the Pepsi-Cola fans' vote for offensive tackles. The nominees: John Boynton from 1967, Denver Crawford, 1947, John Gordy, 1956, Tim Irwin, 1980, Kurt Singer, 1983, Jack Stroud, 1950, Bruce Wilkerson, 1986. The winners are Bruce Wilkerson and Tim Irwin. Bruce Wilkerson. Number 86 for the Volunteers. This in the 1986 Sugar Bowl game. Tim Irwin with the Minnesota Vikings wears number 78. This in 1979 against Notre Dame. For the touchdown. This too, number 78, Tim Irwin. Another Tennessee score against the Irish.
Hello, Tennessee fans. I'm Tim Irwin, and I'm certainly honored to be accepting this award tonight. I come from Knoxville, and I realize the great football tradition at Tennessee, and I realize the great names that have played there in the past and the great players that are playing there in the future. I feel very fortunate to have attended that institution. I not only received great football instruction and was part of a great team. I like to think it was a team that laid the foundation for the present Vols' success that they're currently enjoying, but I also received a great education. I'm really proud of the university, and I'm proud of Knoxville. I want to say a special thank you to my parents, Eddie and Judy Irwin, who I hope are there tonight enjoying this event. I'd like to say a special thank you to Phil Fulmer, who is my offensive line coach at the University of Tennessee, and of course Coach Majors, as well as Tim Karen and Bruno Paletto and the others who helped me throughout my career there. I really feel like I grew a lot during my years in Tennessee, not only in size, but mentally as well, not just in the classroom, but I gained some mental toughness that I was able to carry with me to the professional ranks. I'd like to congratulate the 1990 Tennessee Volunteers on the great season they're having. I want them to know that I watch every game I can and pull for them deep inside. It was a great source of controversy around the locker rooms as Tennessee's playing Notre Dame or Tennessee's playing Alabama or Florida. The players like to jibe one another, and I want to tell you I don't take a back seat very often. I'm real proud of the Tennessee Volunteers, and I'm certainly honored to receive this award tonight. I know there's been a lot of great players. I'm lucky enough to play for one of the great all-time Tennessee players, John Michaels, who was a member of the '51 championship team. He's my boss here in Minnesota, and it's certainly great to be playing for another Tennessee man. We both feel privileged to have gone to that university, and I think my years spent at Tennessee groomed me for my 10 years with the Vikings. Like I say, it's an honor to be in front of you on video tonight. I wish I could be there in person, but right now my main concern is with the Minnesota Vikings. But I'm there with you in my heart now, and I humbly accept this award on behalf of you fans and my parents, Coach Majors, and the rest of the people who helped me along with my career in Knoxville. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry I can't be there with y'all this evening to accept this great award. I would just like to thank everyone for voting me in. It's a great honor to still be remembered in University of Tennessee football. I'd like to give a special thanks to my coach, Philip Fulmer, who helped work me into shape and becoming the player that I've become. I would just say, in the past, University of Tennessee has been a great organization, and just continue to keep that tradition going. And good luck to you this season.
Our thanks to Bruce Wilkerson of the Los Angeles Raiders and Tim Irwin of the Minnesota Vikings. Now, the defensive backs. The nominees: Bill Bates, 1982. Eddie Brown, 1973. Go ahead. Albert Dorsey, 1967. Conrad Graham, 1972. Jimmy Hill, 1950. Roland James, 1979. Mike Jones, 1969. Mike Mock, 1976. Bill Majors, 1960. Bobby Majors, 1971. Terry McDaniel, 1987. Tim Priest, 1970. Bert Retchishar, 1951. J.W. Bud Sherrill, 1950. Jimmy Weatherford, 1968. Chris White, 1985. Bill Young, 1969. And the four winners are Bill Bates, Roland James, Eddie Brown, Bobby Majors. Bobby Majors, and I think Eddie Brown is here. Eddie Brown, right back here, ladies and gentlemen, from Guild, Tennessee. Bill Bates, number 40, this against Iowa State.
I'm very honored to have been selected for the 50-year all-time Tennessee team. Brings back a lot of great memories playing for the University of Tennessee. A lot of memories I like to forget, but a lot of great memories that I always hold and cherish dear to my heart. Thanks very much for the opportunity to play at Tennessee and play for my parents' alma mater, and I will never forget playing for Johnny Majors in the University of Tennessee.
Bill Bates, Roland James of the New England Patriots. Where's number 14? That against Auburn. And then as a punt returner against Vanderbilt in 1979. What a run. Roland James.
Hello to all the Tennessee fans. I'm sorry I couldn't attend. The Patriots are playing this Sunday, and I wouldn't be able to make it. I would like to thank Coach Bill Battle, Coach Majors, and Bill Higdon, especially Bill Higdon, for bringing me down there. He was the main man who recruited me there. Also, I'd like to thank the Tennessee fans who voted for me. And I'd also like to congratulate this year's team and wish them lots of success.
Eddie Brown. Where's number 25? Eddie Brown against Kansas. Who can forget? In 1973 in Memphis. Bobby Majors. Where's number 44? Outlined in black. Bobby Majors, South Carolina. Two of the winners, as you have seen, are with us tonight. Eddie Brown, Bobby Majors, Mr. Brown, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, especially for the fans that voted me this honor, and it is a great honor. There's a lot of people that I need to thank. Like Dale Jones, I'm very, very emotional when it comes to university.
We're with you, Eddie. We're with you.
But especially, I'd like to thank Coach Ray Trail for finding this little skinny kid out of Gill, Tennessee, and bringing him to the University of Tennessee. I hope Mr. Johnson will tell Gary White that how much I appreciate everything that he did for me. And it goes back a lot farther than that. I'd like to thank my mom and dad, my sisters, my whole family, and my wife Diane that's here here tonight. And I don't just do this every once in a while. Every time the big orange comes through the tee, I have to put my sunglasses on to hide the tears. Thank you.
Bobby Majors. To you fans of the University of Tennessee, it's certainly a humbling honor for me to be elected to this elite group of people that y'all have selected in your voting, and to Pepsi for staging this event as well. Like Eddie, there are a lot of people that would like to thank, and a lot of them I'm not going to be able to because I don't want to spend a lot of y'all's time, but I want to thank my mother and my dad. After having 5 kids and 8 years of having five kids, 8 years later, my dad asked my mom, said, would you like to have another baby? And thank goodness mother agreed with it. So, but I grew up in a tremendous family, and I know that y'all may think that that's corny, but I had all the love in the world, and I had all the guidance and all the teaching that a human could possibly have. From my dad, from my brother John, my brother Joe, my brother Bill, my sister Shirley, and my brother Larry. And without them, I would not have been able to have gotten where I am today. And I'm truly grateful to all of them. And 25 years ago, we lost our brother Bill, and I had a great inspiration when I was 15 years old. And from that day on, I wanted to wear number 44 because he wore number 44. And I loved all my brothers and sisters equally, but Bill paid a little bit more attention to me as far as trying to help me learn the proper way of holding a football, throwing a football, or catching a football. And he gave me a tremendous inspiration for doing that for me. And the inspiration of wearing number 44 and having him there with me every day that I was on the football field got me through every game, and hopefully he knows what is happening tonight. Thank you very much, and thank you, Tennessee fans.
From the Vol Radio Network, please welcome Mr. Bill Anderson.
Thank you, and good evening. This is a lot like Saturday afternoon. When John needs a break, he calls on me to talk for a while. But I'm happy to be here to take part in the program. I'm here to recognize what has become one of the most significant elements of Tennessee football tradition over the years: the Vol Radio Network and the voices of the Vols.
UT has seen no less than 8 men broadcast their football games. Most of all fans can just name 3, but for you trivia buffs, we'll run them down. Pat Roddy Jr. became the first, followed by Joe Epstein, Mel Levitt, and Knoxville radio legend Lowell Blanchard. The 5th man to do the games is probably better known for his plaid sport coats, New York Mets baseball, the Cotton Bowl, and Notre Dame football. He's Columbia, Tennessee's own Lindsey Nelson. While he did the games in the late 40s, Nelson also became the first man to put together a semblance of what we know today as the Vol Radio Network.
So I called the general and got him on the phone. I said, General, I got an idea. He said, what's that? I said, I'd like to bid on the rights for the broadcasting Tennessee football games. He said, well, I'd as soon entertain a bid from you as from the stations. I said, I have one small trouble. He said, what's that? I said, I want to bid $10,000. He said, nothing wrong with that. I think if you bid that, you'll get it. I said, no, the trouble is I haven't got $10,000. And he said, well, you must have an idea. And if a man will show me how to make some money, I'll certainly share it with him. So come over and let's talk about it.
Shortly after undertaking this task, Nelson was off to fame in New York, and Edwin Huster Sr. began in earnest to put the network together. Huster crisscrossed the state, adding stations one by one to make the Vol Network the nation's largest college football network. After Alan Stout followed Nelson in the early 50s, Tennessee went to get a full-time broadcaster to fit the bill with the expanding radio following that the Vols were gaining. So the athletic department hired George Mooney away from the University of Arkansas.
One day I was called right after quarterback club meeting in Memphis, and General Nealon was there, and they were discussing, and he said, we'd like to have you do Tennessee football. And so I was very flattered and honored, and I said, General, I think that can be arranged.
Mooney remained in this role for the next decade and a half before John Ward got his chance in 1968. Ward, a Knoxville High graduate, received his law degree in 1953 from Tennessee. Ward pursued broadcasting the hard way, from the ground up. For all of his hard work, the call that came in 1968 was very satisfying to Ward.
I remember that Coach Woodruff called me into his office, and he said, now, we don't want to do anything that will interfere with your doing the television football, which would be the selling of the sponsors for Coach Dickey's TV show, which in essence was saying, don't take any time away from selling the sponsors if to do the play-by-play. I said it won't interfere at all. So I was excited, very enthused, and have been ever since.
He was paired immediately with Bill Anderson, the former Vol and Green Bay Packer end. It's now been over 20 years, and Ward is known affectionately as the voice of the Vols, and Anderson is trusted by many to explain the complicated football of today.
Tonight, we honor 3 of these men. First, the play-by-play man from 1946 until 1950. He is a true Tennessee treasure, Mr. Lindsey Nelson. Next, from 1952 to 1967, I've known this man ever since my playing days here at UT, and there's one thing for sure about him. His blood runs orange. Mr. George Mooney. And next, since 1968, my partner and good friend, Mr. John Ward.
Gee, it's great to see so many good friends here tonight. I'd like to tell you one incident that occurred to me because although I lived in New York for 27 years and worked there, I was never very far from the University of Tennessee. So I knew that when I retired, I was going to come to the University of Tennessee and try to do a little teaching in the Communications College. And so I did. And the first day I held a class down at Communications College, there's a young lady in the front row, and she said, Mr. Nelson, when you were a student here, did you major in radio and television? I said, no, I didn't. She said, why not? I said, because television had not been invented and radio was brand new. And that's the way it was with me. So I came before all these people who did the television. The last game I ever did here, and believe you me, on the way to the stadium that day, if anybody had told me that would be the last Tennessee game I would ever broadcast for the Vol Network, I would have told them they were out of their mind. The last game I ever did for the Tennessee Vol Network was 1950, the Tennessee-Kentucky game. Never did another one. But I had a good grounding and had the good fortune to start under General Bob Nealon. Final word, as I say, I've never been very far from the University of Tennessee, and I proved that in one case because I did do a lot of football around the country. For 13 years, I did the Notre Dame games. And we came here, you'll recall, for one game. Notre Dame was only played here one time. And the morning of that game, we were standing in the street back of the press box, and I was talking to Father Joyce, who was the fellow in charge for Notre Dame. He ran every minuscule detail. And he, in his most ecclesiastical tones, looked at me and said, well, now, let's see, Lindsay. I believe this is your school, isn't it? I said, Father, you know damn well this is my school. Thank you very much.
Mr. George Mooney.
When the general asked me if I'd like to broadcast at the University of Tennessee, I was, as I said, flattered and honored. And through those years, it has been a privilege to see so many great players come along the line. One of the great players was Bob Fox, who was my colleague for about 10 years. And a lot of people wondered why I resigned from broadcasting the Tennessee play-by-play. There were two reasons. One, I had become involved in a lot of radio station ownerships from Puerto Rico and throughout the South, and my time would not permit the time which is necessary, and I commend both you, John, and Bill for the excellent job you are doing. It's a tremendous amount of research which is necessary, and particularly in today's game. But through those years, Bob Fox had Lou Gehrig's disease. And as he went down, he continued to want to be at every game and to do the best he could up in the radio booth. And in 1967, our final season together, he did miss a couple of games. But he wanted to be there, but he couldn't even make it in the wheelchair then. And he said, my days are done. He had fought this disease longer than almost anyone. He's in the medical record book, fought it for 15 years. But he never forgot a player, never forgot a teammate. And one of them was honored here tonight, Abe Shires. He thought the greatest of you, Abe. And another one he thought a great deal of was Bob Woodruff. And if you think Woodruff is tough, I'll tell you how tough he is. He made arrangements the final couple of years of Bob's life for Bob's wife to be able to drive him in a convertible and park down there in the tunnel. Many of you may have seen that car parked in the tunnel. And that was Bob Fox looking at his beloved Vols. And he felt that way. And he's up there right now looking down on this big anniversary. And when Tim called me and asked, are you going to be here? I said, I think I'd better make arrangements because, you know, I don't think I'll be around for the 200th. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be associated with this great group.
Thank you, George. Mr. John Ward, of course.
Well, you've heard enough from me already, and you're going to hear more. I do want to say that it's been an honor for me to represent the University of Tennessee, and I want to thank all of you who supported basically the Vol Network, and that is the stations. We've had over 140 stations throughout the state of Tennessee and the 8 contiguous states to carry the broadcast, 24 different television stations within the state during television days have carried the Sunday shows, and cable systems throughout the country. And I want to thank all of them, and most of all, the fans because without an audience, there ain't much need for a radio network. And finally, the athletic director, Bob Woodruff, and Doug Dickey, who provided me a free ticket. I can sing, too, but I won't. Now back to the fan selection for the all-time Tennessee team, as we move to a position that I'm sure both Lindsey and George could have played with equal dominance. Defensive tackle. The nominees are Don Edmonston, 1941, Marion Hobby, 1989, Dick Huffman, 1946, Darris McCord, 1954, Norman Meserole, 1949, Bill Pierman, 1951, Joe Schaefer, 1959, John Wagster, 1972, Reggie White, 1983, Frank Yanessi, 1969, and the winners are Reggie White and Marion Hobby. Reggie White, of course, now with the Philadelphia Eagles, wears number 92 for the Volunteers. Reggie White, the Minister of Defense.
First of all, I'd like to apologize for not being able to be at the event tonight. Of course, this is the NFL season, and it's hard to get away during the season. I would like to thank the fans of the University of Tennessee for selecting me to the team of the century. I feel real honored to be voted to this team. The University of Tennessee is a university that we all as players have taken a lot of pride in, the orange and white, and the fans to me are the best fans in the world. And it's a great thing to be voted on this team. I would like to thank the coaches and the players that I was involved with during the time that I was at the University of Tennessee, because if it wasn't for them, it would be hard for me to have achieved the things that I've achieved today. I'd like to thank my family who's been a great inspiration to me, my mother, my stepfather, and all the people back in Chattanooga, Tennessee. But again, I say it's an honor to be voted on this team. And not only that, I'd like to congratulate the team this year, the 1990 team, University of Tennessee. Continue to win, because you guys can do it.
Reggie White. Marion Hobby with the New England Patriots. Here in action in 1989, wearing number 90 against Auburn. Again against Auburn. Marion Hobby.
Hi, I would like to say hi to everyone in the Big Orange Country today. I'm proud to accept this award. It's an honor to be characterized with such great people coming out of the University of Tennessee. I've had some great times at the University of Tennessee. I've been winner in 4 years of play since I've been there. I'd like to give special regards to the coaches that were over me while I was there, being patient with me and teaching me the game of football. I'd like to thank Coach Majors and also his lovely wife for being great supporters in the time that I was there. And the fans were just wonderful while I was there. I met a lot of good people. My teammates, people I'll never forget as long as I live and play football. It's just been a very, very good honor to accept this award. And I'd just like to say thank you, and may Big Orange roll forever.
There you have Reggie White and Marion Hobby. Well, Tennessee fans have thrilled to the play of many outstanding receivers. The nominees are Bill Anderson, I voted for him, 1957. Buddy Cruz, 1956. Ken DeLong, 1969. Austin Denny, 1966. Richmond Flowers, 1968. Willie Galt, 1982. Anthony Hancock, 1981. Franklin Bud Hubble, 1946. Tim McGee, 1985. Johnny Mills, 1966.
Stanley Morgan, 1976. Larry Sievers, 1976. Thomas T.D. Woods, 1989. And the three winners are Willie Gault, Stanley Morgan, Larry Sievers. Willie Gault, number 26. Cockrell, Gault. This against Alabama. And in 1982, Willie Gault against Georgia Tech, doing what he does best. Stanley Morgan with the Indianapolis Colts, Condredge Holloway, Stanley Morgan, number 21. This against Clemson in 1974. He was from Easley, South Carolina, about 30 miles from Clemson. He played tailback, of course, for 2 years, and here's why. This against Alabama. Down? No. Stanley Morgan. Touchdown, Tennessee.
Good evening, Big Orange fans. This is a great day for me. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of you that voted for me to be a part of this team. When I was told that I was going to receive this honor, I sat back and I reminisced a little bit of all the athletes that went through Tennessee. And to be included in that number was truly great for me. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Coach Battle and his staff for giving me the opportunity to play football there and to get an education. The 4 years that I shared at Tennessee was great. 4 years that I never forget. And I'm sure a lot of you out there can attest to this. My 4 years at Tennessee was something that will always be a part of me. And it's something that I never forget. I also like to take the opportunity to congratulate Coach Johnny Major and his 1990 football team on a great job they're doing this year. I hope that I can sit back on January the 1st and see you guys take that Sugar Bowl. I wish I could be there in person, but as you know, I'm here with the Indianapolis Colts this year. We have a game Monday night against the New York Giants. And it's going to be a game to watch. I think we got a surprise for them. But other than that, if it wasn't for that, then I would be there. And again, I'd like to thank all of you that voted for me. This is a great opportunity for me. I really appreciate it. And it's something that will always be up there with all the honors and awards that I've received in the past. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you.
His teammate, Larry Sievers, number 89, against Clemson. Touchdown, Larry Sievers. That was in 1974. In 1975 against Auburn. That's Sievers. And look at this against Auburn. Larry Sievers for another touchdown. And look at this one, North Texas State in 1975. With us tonight, the third all-time receiver from Clinton, Tennessee, Larry Sievers.
Thank you. It's a great honor to be associated with an organization with the character and the tradition of the University of Tennessee football. I really appreciate the memories, I appreciate the relationships I've developed with teammates, and I appreciate the influence that Coach Bill Battle had on my life. I appreciate all the people behind the scenes. I'd like to thank the fans who voted for me, and I'd like to especially thank my wife Sally, my mother and father, my mother-in-law, and my sister who sent in all those ballots. Thank you.
Larry Severs, ladies and gentlemen. Now the all-time kick returner. Kick returner. The nominees are Eddie Brown, 1973. Richmond Flowers, 1968. Willie Gault, 1982. Roland James, 1979. Bobby Majors, 1971. Stanley Morgan, 1976. Bert Retchishar, 1951. Walter Slater, 1946. And the winner is Willie Gault. Willie Gault, number 26. Against LSU in 1982. Willie Gault, touchdown, Big Orange.
Hi, first of all, I'd like to say I'm sorry I'm not able to be there today personally, but through the miracle of television, I'm able to bring you my thoughts via satellite and tape. And second, I'd like to say I thank God for the ability that He's given me and the other athletes, and I want to thank each and every one of you who voted for me for this prestigious award because of all the great players that have been in Tennessee history, the Bobby Majors, the Johnny Majors, the Jimmy Streeters, the Holloways, the Reggie Whites. I'd like to thank my teammates because without them, I wouldn't have been the player that I am. And I'd like to, of course, thank the university and the organization, on down from the instructors, Alan Bills, the academic advisor who helped me to mold me as a person. I'd like to thank my teammates, of course, who, like I said earlier, for making me the player that I am. And I'd like to say to the University of Tennessee volunteers and Coach Majors, Oski, ball, cover, attack on offense, pursue and gain, tackle on defense. For this is a winning edge. I'd like to say thank you and have a very nice dinner, and go Vols.
Willie Gault, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to get him to write my stuff. Next, the punter. The nominees are George Canale, 1962. Bobby Cyphers, 1942. Neil Clabo, 1974. Craig Colquitt, 1977. Kent Elmore, 1989. Billy Joe Rowan, 1947. Herman Weaver, 1969. Ron Whidbey, 1966. And the winner is Craig Colquitt. Right here, Craig Colquitt. Craig Colquitt played from 1975 to 77, wearing number 18. This punt against Alabama. And it ends up with Tennessee. Ladies and gentlemen, Craig Colquitt.
Thank you very much. I didn't expect this. Like Larry, I pulled a lot of friends together when we filled out the ballots. But after getting the nomination, I thought about running for U.S. Senate. This is great. There's a lot of people to thank in my past. Number one, my parents. They backed me. I was a walk-on here at the University of Tennessee. I was 2 years out of high school before I came to UT, and the only people that backed me were my parents. And if you've got children, there's children out there, and they've got a goal or an ambition or drive, you stay behind them because it's America and it can possibly come true. I want to thank Coach Majors because when he came in here and he followed up where Coach Battle emphasized the kicking game and made me what I was. But I'd like to ask for a standing ovation for Coach Caffigo. that's a possibility. Thank you again, Coach Majors. These are testament. Got a couple little shiny things on my fingers. It's a wonderful, wonderful game. It's a wonderful opportunity for a young man. Wish we had a game for women. I'm sure it'll open up soon, the way things are going. Thank you very much, and God bless you all, and the University of Tennessee.
Thank you. Craig Colquitt, ladies and gentlemen. As we move along, the decade of the 60s brought about change to Tennessee football. A new coach, Doug Dickey, installed a new system, the T formation, replacing Tennessee's traditional single wing. Coach Dickey's first recruit left his mark on many memories. He is a member of the College Football Hall of Fame. For his volunteer reflection, the captain of the 1967 SEC champions, Bob Johnson.
Bob Johnson speaks for these 1967 volunteers. All-America Center, honor student in engineering, winner of the National Foundation Scholarship for Postgraduate Study, football captain, Bob epitomized the best in college athletics.
The one thing that I'll always remember about this football team is the hustle and the hard work and the cheerfulness that they showed on the practice field. I think sometimes football practice can be slow and drudgerous, or else you can go at it with a smile on your face. And I think that's the way this team went at it, with a smile on their face. And I think our good record was a direct result of their hustle and enthusiasm that they showed on the practice field.
Bob Johnson, and here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Bob Johnson.
I think I look better with less hair. Johnny Mills, the great end in 1966, made the most fantastic catch, if you remember, in the 66 Gator Bowl. And he told me that he had lobbied and wanted to show the film of me. I got called for holding when he made that great catch in the end zone. I appreciate y'all not showing that play. This has been a favorite night of mine, and I really have enjoyed it, and I hope you all are. There are some of my favorite people here and some great memories. I love Lindsey Nelson's sport coat. I remember as Big Doug Atkins walked up here, I remember when I was a rookie with the Bengals, Paul Brown, the great coach of the Bengals, we were watching some film, and Doug Atkins was at the end of his career with the New Orleans Saints, and he said, "That's the most awesome player that ever played defensive line." I'm here. We're here with some people that care a great deal. As you watch these honorees, it's apparent that football players, Tennessee football players, care deeply about football and about the University of Tennessee. When I came to Tennessee, it was in a real transition. They hired a tall, slender coach from Arkansas named Doug Dickey, and he brought his wife Joanne, and we changed and went away from the single wing that I'm sure a lot of y'all remembered and went to the T formation. It was a time of great transition, and it was also, if you remember, a tremendously exhilarating, upswing, uplifting resurgence of the University of Tennessee. My sophomore year in 1965, we scrapped around and fought and ended up 8-1-2, and we went to the Bluebonnet Bowl, the first bowl game in quite a while at Tennessee. We went to the Gator Bowl, and then we went to the Orange Bowl. Ended that my senior year in 1967. We were ranked second in the country, and we just missed against Oklahoma down there, but it was a great year, and it was the beginning of 25 years of great Tennessee football as they've nibbled around or been in the top 10 all the time. They've fought for SEC championships, and it started, I feel, the last 25 years of Tennessee football. That's been a great time and a wonderful, wonderful era. I would say the Doug Dickey era, and he started it. You know, when young people leave high school and they come to a place like the University of Tennessee at 17 or 18 years old, we were and players are now at a very impressionable age, and you're walking out of the womb of your little hometown and your own house, and you're going to a place that's going to challenge you, and it's frightening. I remember my mother and I walked into Gibbs Hall, my first experience. I walked in, and this fellow was laid over the registration desk, and as I walked up, he stood up, and I was looking at his stomach, It was Tom Borwinkle, if you remember. He's 7'3" and weighs 290, and I looked at my mother and said, I'm not big enough to play here. Sometimes little snapshots or little vignettes stick in your mind like you wouldn't believe. Every player here remembers things on a practice field that indelibly will stay with them forever. Some kind of mundane seeming things. About the 5th game in my senior year, we had to practice after the game, the day after the game, and I thought that was tough because you play your heart out, you're tired, and I think coaches felt like you needed to get the kinks out. But we went out and we practiced a little bit, and after 5th or 6th game, Coach Dickey said, we're going to run, I think it was like 20, 25-yard sprints. And I'm going, oh no, because I already felt sorry for myself. We were going to run them in little spurts around the coaches. Coaches were standing in the middle of the field. We ran the first one. Coach Dickey yelled across the field at me, said, I want you to win every one of them. We were running in groups. I surely wasn't running with the backs. I was running with the linemen. And I thought, why is he picking on me? And he yelled at me through the whole 20 sprints. And I don't know if I won them all, but I tried hard. I was mad. And I look back at that, just symptomatic of Coach Dickey and great coaches. He just wanted me to be not ordinary. And it was, he wanted me to be something special. And I'll never forget it. My senior year, Coach Dickey announced we were supposed to run a 6-minute mile. I never ran a 6-minute mile in my life. I take it back. I ran it once, and I'm going to tell you about it. I stayed up here between my junior and senior year because I knew how important it was for me to try to be in shape my senior year. Worked all summer, went to summer school, worked all summer with people who stayed here. I ran and I ran and I ran. I ran 4 miles to get distance. Then I saw how long I could run at a 6-minute mile pace, and I couldn't do it. 2 days before we were supposed to run, I went to see Coach Dickey. I was a captain of the team. I thought it was really important that I do it because he wanted everybody to do it. And I walked in and I said, Coach Dickey, I can't do it. He just said, you just got to do your best. Charlie Rosenfelter, one of the nominated guards, was a junior. I knew he could do well running distance, and I said, Charlie, how am I going to do this? And he says, Bob, I can pace you. I'll pace you. I know I can make it. I'll pace you. I said, great, Charlie. He said, I'm going to run 85-second quarters, 4 90-second quarters to give you a 6-minute mile. He said, I'm going to pace you in an 85-second quarter. We'll be just right on the right pace, and you'll be all set. I hang to his outside shoulder. We get up at 6 or 6:30 in the morning to do this. My adrenaline's pumping wildly. We take off. I hang just on Charlie's outside shoulder, and we're running that first lap. And just as we finish the first lap, they're saying 61, 62. And I said, Charlie! And I called him a name I can't quite explain here because I knew he'd just killed me for the rest of the run, and I choked it back to about 90 seconds. But thanks to Charlie Rosenfelter, I ran the first and only 6-minute mile I've ever run in my life. The only reason that's so significant to me is because it meant a lot to me. I tried as hard physically to do that, and there's a lot of people in this world who would think a 6-minute mile is a piece of cake. And I don't quite understand why it is for some and some not for others, but I tried all I could do to do that, and I did it. And I still look back at it. It's probably one of the most satisfying things for me personally. Another little vignette. We had 2, in my era, terrible tragedies. 3 young coaches, young families, young children, killed in a car train wreck. 2 players killed in an automobile wreck. And I remember, as Coach Dickey talked about them through those 2 years, how sincere and open he was about his feelings. And that meant a lot to me, that he cared and was able and mature enough to express it. And it stayed with me. I was very fortunate in my football career to play for 2 great people who had tremendous influence on me, one Coach Dickey and the other Paul Brown. They both demanded individual excellence, and I think what I'm about to say is true of all the great coaches, but they said no man, however great a player, is bigger than the team, and the team is what counts. You got to learn to subordinate your ego to the team. You cannot be a selfish player. My high school, I've got a son who's a junior in high school, and I'm so happy that he's playing football just to learn that value of what it means to be a member of the team. On behalf of the players of this era, I'd like to thank the University of Tennessee for creating a place and an atmosphere that young athletes can grow athletically, academically, and personally. Thank you.
The nominees for defensive middle guard: Bob Doblstein, 1945. Steve DeLong, 1964. Francis Holohan, 1952. Jimmy Noonan, 1980. Ted Daffer, 1951. The winner is Steve DeLong. Right here. Steve DeLong. His number is 65. Steve DeLong against Mississippi State in 1964. There he is. And here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Steve DeLong.
It's kind of nice to choke up a little bit. I'd like to thank everyone for this award. It's a great honor. I mean, the Allen Trophy was great, but this is from the fans, and it's really a great honor. I think we're overlooking a little bit the 61, 62, 63 teams. They were pretty good, I thought. We were a real powerhouse. We won 13 games, but we had great fans, always great fans. Thank you.
Steve DeLong, ladies and gentlemen. Next, the linebackers. The nominees are Bill Barbish, 1953. Keith DeLong, 1988. Frank Emanuel, 1965. Tom Fisher, 1965. Bill Jasper, 1951. Steve Kiner, 1969. Mike Lucci, 1961. Paul Newmoff, 1966. Ray Nettles, 1971. Gordon Pulofsky, 1951. Jack Reynolds, 1969. Jamie Rotella, 1971. Andy Spiva, 1976. Jackie Walker, 1971. Carl Zander, 1984. The winners are Keith DeLong, Jack Reynolds, Steve Kiner. Keith DeLong, number 33 now, of course, with the San Francisco 49ers.
I'm sorry I couldn't be with you tonight to celebrate such a special event, but unfortunately I'll be in Green Bay, Wisconsin, getting ready to take on the Green Bay Packers. I'm deeply honored that you have chosen me to be a part of Tennessee's 100-year anniversary team. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the fans of Tennessee for voting for me. To be associated with such names as Jack Reynolds, Reggie White, Bill Johnson, and of course, Coach Johnny Majors is a special tribute. But I'd like to also thank Coach Majors because as a coach, he was probably the single most important part of the success of my career. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank my mother, my father, my friends, and of course my teammates. Without their help and the support, this wouldn't be possible. In the past couple of years, I've had the opportunity to travel around with the San Francisco 49ers. And in my honest opinion, I don't think anybody supports their team like the people in Tennessee support the Tennessee Volunteers. Even though I'm a San Francisco 49er right now, I'll always be a Tennessee Volunteer. I'd also like to congratulate Tennessee on the year they're having this year. I wish them continued success, and I know I'll be pulling for them. Thank you very much for such a great honor. I know it's going to be one I'm going to cherish the rest of my life, and God bless.
Keith DeLong. Jack Reynolds of the Volunteers wears number 64. There he is. This against Boston College in 1988. And this against Oklahoma and Georgia Tech, excuse me. First Oklahoma, then Georgia Tech. Steve Kiner wears number 57. That's Kiner. That's Alabama. That's a sack. And Ole Miss in 1967. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the all-time greats, Steve Kiner.
Thank you for inviting me back up here. I got a letter just last week, I think, and it said, if you were accepted, if you did win the award or whatever, you should keep it brief. And I thought that was funny after listening to everybody speak tonight. I think they sent me that letter intentionally after what happened my senior year at Ole Miss. I feel a lot like Dale Jones and Eddie Brown. It's real hard for me to talk about Tennessee and not get choked up. So I want to keep it real short and just thank some people. Thank Vince Gibson for bringing me up to Tennessee to play ball. I want to thank Bob Davis for not running me off when I was a freshman. I want to thank P.W. Underwood for teaching me how mentally tough you had to be to play the game. And I'd like to thank Lon Hersburn for keeping me from getting discouraged after what happened in Jackson, Mississippi, my senior year. I think he told me, that's history, don't worry about it. And that's kind of, it was a great relief for me. I'd like to thank Coach Caffigo for having people ready every day to come out there for me to knock around. I enjoyed that part. I enjoyed that part of the game. And I'd like to thank all my teammates. I think that's what this is all about. And I just gotta go.
Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Kiner. One cannot mention the decade of the 70s without mentioning this man's name. He led the Vols to 3 straight bowl games. Keep in mind, freshmen were not eligible. He only played 3 years. A record of 25-9-2 as the starting quarterback. Now for his volunteer reflections, Condridge Holloway.
He was a high school whiz down in Huntsville, Alabama. And every coach in the country was fighting to nail him down. But when the battle was over, his mama said the trail is clear. Son, go with the winner, be a Tennessee volunteer. So go Holloway, go volunteer. The big orange takes the field, and everyone cheers. John Ward on the radio, play-by-play. Bobby Denton on the big PA, shouting, ooh-wee, give 'em 6. There goes Holloway. You can rush Holloway, you can trap him, but he won't stop. He'll go down the middle, around or over the top. So go Holloway, go volunteer. The big orange takes the field, and everyone cheers. John Ward on the radio, play-by-play. Bobby Denton on the big PA, shouting, ooh-wee, give 'em 6. There goes Holloway. He's shouting, ooh-wee, give 'em 6. There went Holloway.
Cedric Holloway.
I didn't sing that, guys. That was not me singing. It's indeed an honor to be able to represent the era of the 70s. I think back on those days and I think of T-shirts, bell-bottom blue jeans, afros, and the family structure. You know, it's back in those days, the family was very important, and I guess the family's always been important, but I think our football team during that era was constructed on the family-type basis. It started with Bob Woodruff and Jim McDonald as our, I guess they would be the grandparents, you know. They kind of oversaw and made sure everything was okay, and then you had all the coaching staff, which would probably be your brothers. My favorite brother was Ray Trail because he recruited me. Also recruited a few other guys in here. Jim Wright was the coach that kind of made me what I am as far as a quarterback and knowledge of the game. But this family went outside of just being those that were totally involved. I mean, the family, like I said, probably started with Mr. Woodruff, Mr. McDonald, but it went all the way down to Ma Bacon, and a lot of you guys know what I'm talking about, Mickey O'Brien in the training room, and even Gene Sprague over in the equipment room. But it also reached out further than just the actual players. I mean, if you had a certain member of your family that wasn't really a member of your family, but you always called him your brother. You know, he's my brother, or my cousin this, or my cousin that. During those times, there were a lot of people that fit those molds, and without them, a lot of times Tennessee players and coaches would have been caught in a bind sometimes. And you know, those people are few and far between, and they're very loyal. And for those of you who don't really understand what I'm talking about, I'll throw a few names at you. For the players, they'll know who I'm talking about. Judy Constantine, Ken Rice. Do I get to mention your name? Or certain people from Chattanooga, I better not mention you. Huh? Okay, I won't. But anyway, it's just an honor to be a part of that family, and it's something that it's been very constructive in my life after football here at Tennessee. And I tell you, it's the leadership role was definitely handled by one guy, and I saved him to talk about last because I think he amplifies just what Tennessee football meant to us in the 70s. And that guy's name is Bill Battle. Coach Battle not only took a chance with me, I think he took a chance and a challenge with every player he coached. Being the youngest coach, he got a lot of ridicule about things that he did, but I can reminisce and really honestly say that what Coach Battle taught us as a Tennessee volunteer was no different than what any parent would teach his kid for values for the rest of his life. And a lot of us didn't like it. I mean, I formulated quite a few friendships during that time, and a lot of those guys are here right now, and I know they'll look up and tell you that we didn't like getting on that bus on Sunday going to church. That wasn't fun. We didn't like the study halls. We didn't like the disciplinary tactics that were enforced, especially the stadium stairs at 6 o'clock in the morning if you got out of line. Somehow that brings your memory back to you and you don't do those things anymore, but it's just something that the discipline that we were taught was something that I'll always cherish, and the friendships that I made, a lot of guys that are here right now, Haskell Stanback, Ricky Townsend, his lovely wife Jerry, I've seen them through 3 kids, Eddie Brown, Bobby Majors. There's a lot of guys that can honestly, I think, believe in what I say and just exemplify what Coach Battle really gave us as players. And I know you don't want to get into comparisons, but I think the 70s era was was a different type of era because we were a team, a group of people that didn't have the stars that they have today. And we had a lot of guys that had to really be brothers and stick together because we were no good individually. We didn't have the individual talent and the size and speed that they have today. But we hung in there like no one else would, and it made us the team that we were. And the one thing that I guess I can just reminisce a little bit about is, and I know all the players, if you stop and think about it, we can be compared to a lot of different eras. And the eras before us, they always say, well, they wasn't as tough. And the eras that are going on now and will go on in the future, they're different players, and it's a different game. But one thing we can always rejoice and reminisce about as far as our era and the era before us, that the guys that are playing now will never be able to do. And if you really think about it, we all had that discipline. We all had the great coaches. But the one thing that we got that they didn't get, or they'll never get, that always brought us a little smile whenever things were bad, were those 8 tickets to every home game. Remember that? Remember those 8 tickets, guys? I'm telling you, when things went bad, those 8 tickets just made a big old smile come on your face, didn't it? They can't do that now. Well, in conclusion, I'm really honored to be up here, and Jack, I didn't mean to embarrass you like that. The guy I was talking about for Chattanooga is Jack Rawson, and he is one of those guys, and I do apologize, Jack, but I had to point you out because you're one of my special buddies. You're one of those guys that really looked after a lot of us, and you made sure we were happy ball players, and that's what a lot of you fans are doing, and that's what I appreciate. I appreciate being here to be able to tell you that as a player from the 70s, representing all the 70s players, we appreciate you then, we appreciate you now, and I've had an opportunity to come back and be a part of the family again, thanks to Coach Majors and Coach Dickey, and I really appreciate it, and don't worry, Saturday's in the bag, and the rest of the year we're going to get better. Thank you.
Condridge Holloway. The nominees for offensive center are Bob Davis, 1951, Ray Graves, 1941, Bob Johnson, 1967, Lee North, 1981, Robert Shaw, 1978. The winner is Bob Johnson. Bob Johnson, the center, wears number 54, opened the hole against Auburn in 1967. Again, number 54, Bob Johnson, touchdown for the Volunteers. Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Johnson.
Like a lot of people here, I really feel like I'm here because of the people I played with. Offensive linemen especially are a fraternity, and we were good. I mean, I felt, not that I was good, but our offensive line I thought was good. We had some fine players behind us that made us look good. But some of you guys may not remember because people don't get too excited about offensive linemen, but Elliot Gamich, Joe Graham, Charlie Rosenfelter, and John Boynton. And I don't think I've ever been prouder in my athletic career being with people as I was with those guys. I came from a great family in Cleveland, Tennessee. A lot of y'all, I had 2 brothers that played after me at the University of Tennessee, Tom and Paul. My older brother, the doctor now, was at Tennessee before me. My mother and father were probably as fine of fans as there ever were. My dad passed away in 1975, but he was one of those guys in the orange blazers or an orange tie. They didn't miss a game, no matter where we played. Matter of fact, they watched me play at Bradley County, and they watched me play here, and they chased me with the Bengals. We were a great family, and it means a lot. I guess the person who's been with me the longest and been through everything I've been through, and the person I owe the most to, is my wife Jane. We dated in high school. We dated all through college and got married after my senior fall. And if there's anyone I have to thank for anything, it's Jane. Thank you for honoring me in this way. Thank you.
Now we come to the quarterback. The nominees are Alan Cockrell, 1983. Jeff Francis, 1988. Condridge Holloway, 1974. Tony Robinson, 1985. Bobby Scott, 1970. Dewey Warren, 1967. The winner by the fans' vote, Condridge Holloway. Number 7, Condridge Holloway, running with the football against Duke. Still running with the football against Duke. He could run, he could dance, he could throw the football. This one complete against Wake Forest to Chip Howard for a touchdown. Condridge Holloway.
This is, hello. This is indeed an honor, and not to be repetitious, but first time to get up here, it's okay, but I don't know. This time I'm feeling kind of like Eddie, and I'd just like to say thank you very much.
Condridge Holloway. Now we come to the running backs. The nominees are Tommy Bronson, 1957. Reggie Cobb, 1989. Malin Faircloth, 1963. Bobby Gordon, 1957. William Howard, 1987. Johnny Jones, 1984. Andy Kozar, 1952. Hank Laricella, 1951. Johnny Majors, 1956. Richard Pickens, 1968. Walter Slater, 1946. Haskell Standback, 1973. Buster Stevens, 1945. Tom Tracy, 1954. Jimmy Wade, 1954. Kurt Watson, 1971. The winners are Reggie Cobb, Hank Laricella, Kurt Watson, Johnny Major. Number 34 for the Volunteers, Reggie Cobb. This against Duke in 1989. Reggie Cobb all the way for the Volunteer touchdown. Then again, this time against Georgia in 1989, Reggie Cobb.
I'd like to thank everybody at the University of Tennessee for electing me for this award. It's probably the most prestigious award that a Tennessee football player can receive. And I'm very happy to be a part of this team. And I'd like to thank Coach Majors for giving me the opportunity to be a Tennessee Vol. And I'd like to thank all the fans and everybody back home, and go Vols.
Reggie Cobb. Hank Laricella. And this is the run. In the 1951 Cotton Bowl football game, he lost the cameraman. And he lost a lot of tacklers. And he had a lot of blockers. And Laricella, in the second half of the football game, gets Tennessee in scoring position. What a run by Laura Sullivan. Number 31, the Crossville Comets, Kurt Watson. There you see him in action. And in one of the great games by any Tennessee football player, Kurt Watson, 200 yards against Georgia. This at Georgia. Kurt Watson. 1954 to 56. Number 45, Johnny Majors. With the block, with the cut, with the move, with the stiff arm, and Majors goes all the way to score for the Volunteers. Out of the single wing. Majors again, the cutback, picks the corridor, and races downfield. For another Big Orange touchdown. 3 of the winners are here. Okay, I'll make the decision. First, Hank Laricella.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Tennessee fans. It's a very special night for all of us, and it really is humbling to me to be here and be a part of this great ceremony and the great rich tradition that Tennessee has. As I look out among the audience and what award I receive here tonight, I see those guys that are part of this award. I really accept this on behalf of a unique and great era in Tennessee football. As I ran whatever I did, I see guys like Jim Haslam and Jack Stroud and Bob Davis who were blocking for me. Then I look at Gordon Pulaski, Pug Pierman, Doug Atkins, Jimmy Hill, many others. I know I'm missing plenty out here, but these guys were all part of a great and rich football era here at Tennessee. You know, we only live but once. And the time we spend on this earth is a very brief time. And many of us say, we wonder what we would do if we could go back and turn the clock back. What would we do if we had a chance to come around again? Well, I can tell you, it was over 40 years ago that I made the decision to come here. It was a wonderful decision I made because if I had to turn it back, I'd certainly do the same thing, and I love every minute of it, and particularly those who made it possible. I see my wife out here who was a co-ed with me here at Tennessee, who likewise was very active in the University of Tennessee life here. She has brought me a lot of joy, 5 wonderful children, and we're all great Tennessee fans. We love every one of you. 40 years was a long time ago. For y'all to remember Hank Laricella and to remember those teams of 49, 50, and 51, believe me, it's humbling. Thank you very much.
Hank Laricella. Number 31, the Crossville Comet, Kurt Watson.
I think, as it's been said before, this is a very humbling experience. I am somewhat in a state of shock, I think, because of the list of running backs that were the nominees. I truly am surprised to be here, but I think the fans were, as Hank said, remembering 40 years, remembering 20 years. That when I played, like Coach Dickey said a couple of years ago at a banquet here in April, when I ran the ball, it was kind of ugly. And but with the help of a lot of good linemen and some great blocking, I guess we got the job done. I can say truly that, with maybe the exception of the birth of my 2 sons, that the most exciting days that I've spent in my life have been here in Knoxville. Thank you very much. It is indeed a great honor.
the coach of the Volunteers, Johnny Major.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Kurt Watson, you might have been accused of being an ugly runner. I've told Doug Dickey, who coached you, and some people who played with you, that I loved to watch those films when you played at Tennessee. And we had a football player a lot like you at the fullback at Tennessee named Tommy Brunson, who was a kind of an ugly runner, but he knew how to run too and got the job done. Well, first I'd like to say thanks to Doug and the great staff that he has. They do things first class. I know this. They do everything right for all the rest of us in this department. A lot of work's been put into this. Tim Burnell and the group that did it. And also to the fans who selected the team and the great fans that followed the Tennessee teams through the years, shown back in the 1890s. And the media who helped me and the other people who've gotten individual recognition. And I'm honored, and I also fully realize that there are many other people who deserve to be up here who are not recognized tonight, because this is a team game. There's no place for I, me, or my in the game of football. And nobody understands that more than I do. I have no reason not to do well because I had a lot of help. I am a lucky man. I was born in a small town in a great state in a free country, United States. I had supportive family, parents. I had plenty of brothers to throw the ball with and catch it. I always had plenty of bats and balls. I had a pretty sister, and I had a lot of friends through the years who helped me. I had teachers, principals. I don't remember any bad ones. They're all different, but I had a lot of help. I had nobody that didn't really support me through the years. So, as a Tennessee player, I didn't think I could play at Tennessee. One of my greatest thrills was coming here when I was a sophomore in high school and seeing Tennessee play a great game against Alabama and seeing the orange shirts of the people who've been recognized here in 1950. It's a great team. Didn't think I could play here, but fortunately my mother said, well, it's between you and the other school out of state that I'd like to see you stay in the state. My dad said, I think you can play. Came here anyway in a transition period. We followed the great teams of 50, 51, and 52, and Nealon was the coach that signed us. Signed 100 and something of us. Anyway, he resigned, retired because of ill health, shortly before the Cotton Bowl, and we played for a wonderful person, Harvey Robinson. A tough time, succeeding a great legendary coach. A wonderful man, compassionate, a smart football person, and I got a lot from him, and so did all of us. And we had some tough years. And then a great dynamic coach by the name of Bowden White came in here with a terrific staff. George Capigo, Skeeter Bailey, Jim McDonald, and all the fine coaches are here tonight. White turned us around. He taught us discipline, the importance of the team. The team always comes first. I'll forever be indebted to those people, because if I had a chance to do it again, who'd ever thought you could come to school on a scholarship? I'm closing now, but my folks said, John, you're going to college. You may have to work your way through school, but you're going to college. We heard it all of our lives, playing football and baseball. So I figured I'd have to work my way through it. I know what I know now. I'd come back to Tennessee, and I'd dig ditches in the summer. I'd sweep floors. I'd wash dishes in the cafeteria to be a volunteer one more time and to play with Bill Johnson, Buddy Cruz, and John Gordy, and Glenski and Hersman one more time, like Laura Sulla says. I'm lucky to be a volunteer and to wear an orange shirt during my career. Thanks to my family I'm married to now, my son, my daughter, my mother, and my brothers and sister.
Thank you, John. Ladies and gentlemen, you have voted, and tonight you have met and heard from the winners. Now a special new memory. Songwriter Dave Loggins has two passions, in this order: UT football and writing songs. In 1974, he received a Grammy nomination for his song, Please Come to Boston. Then 10 years later, his duet with Ann Murray, Nobody Loves Me Like You Do, was #1, and they were selected as the #1 duet in America. He's written songs for a lot of people, a lot of songs, and a lot of people. Kenny Rogers, Crystal Gale, Alabama, if you'll pardon the expression, and many others. Dave Loggins is a native of Bristol, and he's, yes, Tennessee, I hope. He's been a Vol fan for 30 years. And tonight he performs for the first time live to commemorate 100 years of volunteers, his own Orange Memories. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Logan.
Started in 1891. Then we cleared the land and we built the stand. And by 21 we built the pride. 28 we crushed the tide, and the color they wore was orange. Remember, the general led for 32 years, like a father with his son. There was Gene and Beatty and George carrying that sword, and the color they wore was orange. Remember, there has been and there will be joy. There has been and there will be tears. It's been that way for 100 years. Win or lose, lose or win, we were there, we're here now, we'll be here then. Then the general stood by Bowden's side, after Hank and Doug and the boys went 10-0 in 51, and the championship when they were done came home to the Orange. We remember General died in 62. We had a few declining years. But Doug brought prosperity. He put the T back in Tennessee and on the helmets of the Orange. We remember there has been and there will be joy. There has been and there will be tears. It's been that way for 100 years. Win or lose, lose or win, we were there, we're here now, we'll be here then. And our worst defeat was in 65, when a train took 3 precious lives. And boys, it wasn't just a few, but every heart in that horseshoe led for the Orange. And for them we remember that we feel sugar and orange and cotton bowls. Fans grew in the horseshoe bowls. With battles lost and battles won, we call the 50's favorite son coming home to the Orange. Oh, John, we remember there has been and there will be joy. There has been and there will be tears. been that way for 100 years. Win or lose or win, we were there. We're here now, and we'll be here then. We started in 1891. Ain't it hard to believe that 100 years have passed, but 100 years are gonna last, you know. Memories. Oh, how I love those orange memories. Oh, how I love those orange memories. Oh, how I love those orange memories.
Dave Loggins, Orange Memories. Wasn't long, was it? It was fun. You've been a most responsive audience, and we hope that you've enjoyed this once in a lifetime evening. They gave me license to make one personal comment, which I'm going to make right now. I've been privileged to work with a lot of great people on our Vol radio and television network. And this program you saw tonight, like all of our broadcasts, really are done by the people you never see or never hear, perhaps never know. But they put this show together. Our UTV staff, camera people all over the place. One particular name I'm going to mention, and in mentioning his name, I say thanks on behalf of you to all of them. His name is Mike Moore, who started with us as a student at the University of Tennessee 6-7 years ago. He put together all of the video you've seen, as he did the 100 years of volunteers. All Anderson and I do is show up and keep score. Thanks, won't you, all of our UTV staff for the job they have done tonight. I am partial. They're the best in the business. The winners of the Pepsi-Cola all-time team will be presented tomorrow at halftime of the Tennessee game with Temple as part of the Pride of the Southland Band's 100 Years of Volunteers program. So it's fitting that as we conclude this program, we salute the man who for 30 years has been the director of the Pride of the Southland Band. And what greater moment is there than when that band first marches onto the field, or when just before the tee is formed, the band plays and George Beaches sings our national anthem. What greater moment is there? We salute Dr. J. Julian, and to him and to all of us, maybe for the first time ever, let's all join in singing as the Pride of the Southland Band plays our alma mater. We even have the words for you. The Pride of the Southland Band.